Hello everybody, welcome to a new video of City Skylines 2. In this episode, I'm gonna share some tips and strategies on how to build a better road system, how to design the road hierarchy, what about the zoning on different roads, and how to design the grids to make your city more adaptable. Now, let's get started. A smart road system does not only help with the traffic, it also makes your city easier to manage and easier to diagnose when there are problems. When I design my roads, I design them in 3 levels. The first level, I call them arteries. Their purpose is to ensure quick and convenient travel between districts of different functions or between districts far away from each other. The arteries will be the bones of your city's frame. You should keep the arteries as straightforward as possible to save distance. But I do use curves in some places because I care about fashion. And you should limit the number of intersections along the arteries, because the intersections interrupt the traffic flows. I divide my arteries every 500 meters, actually a little more than 500 meters, because the roads have their width. I chose 500 meters because I think it's the max walking distance citizens can tolerate, and that's the number 500. But at the edge of a district I use 250, because otherwise it's a little bit hard to design the shapes. The arteries should be the widest road you can choose, because all your traffic eventually comes onto them. After the arteries, the second level, I call them major roads. These roads are the frame of an individual district. They start from the intersections on your arteries. Their purpose is to collect the traffic from a district onto an artery, or from the artery into the district. They can tolerate more intersections than the arteries, but still, you don't want to interrupt them too often, because then you might suffer from traffic jams within the district. By completing the major roads, you can form a clear idea of where each district is and where they end. So, when you see problems in the future, it's easy to diagnose where to adjust things like overall density. After the major roads, the third level, I call them minor roads. These are the roads you use to utilize some smaller space, like a small coastal area at the edge of a district. They start from the T-sections on your major road frames. I usually build these parts with narrower roads because they are usually in tight space and because they don't need to handle much traffic. The minimum width of my grids is 160 meters, but most of them are bigger than that. I leave rooms between the 2 rows of houses. At first, it may seem reasonable to make them airtight to save space, right? But then you have looked at your districts. As a result, if you want to do some upgrading to them in the future, you may need to bulldoze the majority of your district, or give up upgrading for good. So, by leaving rooms in between, you can later build things like tram tracks or subway lines. And many public services of higher levels are actually quite big. For example, the university. The base university is already huge enough, and it has some expansions. You will need these new services here and there, so you need to leave some room. And even if you don't need to build any of those things in a certain grid, you can still use them to build some pavement areas to further boost the community's connectivity. And that's a great way for landscaping. I have another guide video dedicated to the pavements. Your zoning should be centered on the major roads, because that's where your districts are. I see the arteries as supporting zoning areas. I don't plan zoning from them. I use them when a nearby district needs something but doesn't have room. And I only zone low-density areas on the arteries to best prevent new burdens on their traffic. And I never proactively upgrade the artery zonings to medium density. I only do that when a household complains about high rent and asks me to do that. If I can find any other solution, I try my best to preserve the low density along the arteries. Okay, these are my tips for an organized road system. Hope you find these tips useful, and happy playing, happy designing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.